Hi everyone. Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing amazing. We're just going to. Okay. Let me just introduce myself. My name is Durosinmi Etti. Hi Vivi. Hi Vivian. I'm the founder of AJS Tribe, like you all know. AJS Tribe is a platform that we started to pretty much empower women. So we have an inner community and people want that over 1,100 people in the community. How amazing is that? Like you can't buy it anywhere. Is Chioma here? God. Okay, she's here. Yay! Oh well, thank God. My stories now. Hi Chioma. I can hear you. Have you been waiting for a while or you just joined?
I've been here for a bit. I was listening.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to hear all about your journey. I've just used out to like while you wait time because we said we should give you 5 minutes. So you can just take
Okay.
us through your journey, tell us about some of the challenges that you faced. We know that all that glitters is not gold, and we can see that you're looking, like a slave mama. We love it. So just tell us tell us all
Thank
about your journey and everything, and then at the end, we'll take questions. I'll try to write down questions. I have my pen and paper. I'll try to write down questions because I'm sure we'll go over time, over the 1 hour set for you telling your journey. And then when we come back, we'll be able to then take questions and answers. So the questions, and then I'll read out some of the questions that I've taken from here, just in case people um, ask questions on this call. So you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to try and focus as much because I get so distracted by the comments. Thanks, guys. I can see all your amazing comments. I'm grateful. I appreciate it. So, it's funny because when you asked me about, failures, my response was, oh, we haven't actually had any like particular failures business wise, but in terms of challenges, we've had lots and lots of challenges. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I think the network is a bit slow. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, Good Hair started in 2008, actually. So myself and Kika, my business partner, we actually met at university. I don't know if some of you know the story. I'll just run through it really quickly so I don't sound too repetitive. But we were in the same student halls and we would see each other every single day on the corridors and not really say anything, but I'll be looking thinking, who's this girl with nice hair? I should be looking at me thinking the exact same thing. But obviously, you know how women are, like, obviously, no one said anything to the other. So funny enough, one day we were walking past, saw each other again, and I mean, I say Kika approached me, Kika says I approached her, but anyways, we got to talking and we actually swapped hairdressers' numbers first. So I didn't have Kika's number, but I had her hairdresser and vice versa, And then maybe like a week later, we saw at a party and then we just started talking. It was literally love at first sight. So for me and Kika, what actually clicked at the time is that we had similar interests. So hair, makeup, fashion, these are things that we were interested in. And that's kind of like what drew us together as friends. But in terms of the business, it wasn't anything that, we sort of sat down and planned and discussed. No. Me personally, back then, I would buy hair extensions for like £1,000, 1,500, and because I loved hair so much, I would literally buy maybe every 2 or 3 months. All my pocket money, everything was going towards buying hair, and it was just so expensive. And as a student back then, I was in second year of university. I couldn't afford it. It just wasn't sustainable. But I wanted to look glam, I wanted to look fabulous, but I didn't have the money. So I said, you know what? Like, obviously, these people that I'm buying hair from, they're getting it from somewhere. So let me go and check. Let me look for suppliers. Let me see if I can find, good quality for less. So I started doing a lot of research, going online, ordering different samples. And then I finally found like a good supplier, so I ordered like maybe 15 bundles for myself, not even to sell or anything, just so that I could be rotating my looks. And I remember going to uni that week. Hi, kids. I remember going to uni that week, and every single person that I walked past would be like, "Oh my God, where's your hair from? Can I buy? Do you have some for sale? Where did you get it from?" And as an Igbo girl, I wasn't about to give anyone my supplier, so I figured, you know what? Let me just sell it to them. Let me give them a price. So I'll say to them, "Oh yeah, £300, £400." And funny enough, that week I sold every single bundle, every single thing that I purchased, and I thought, "Oh my God, like this could actually be a good business." So that's the point for me when I considered actually even taking it seriously. But at the time, I think I was a little bit scared. I wasn't really sure. And I thought, you know what, I'd rather partner with somebody as opposed to doing this alone. And who can I partner with? Who else would push this, hair thing the way I would push it? Who else has the same manner of interest? And of course, Kika's the first person that came to mind. So I reached out to Kika. I was like, "Hey, Kika, I found a hair extension supplier." And at the time, Kika used to wear like the warmest lace frontals. Like her lace frontals were absolutely undetectable. So I was like, "I know you have a lace supplier. I've got a hair supplier. So what do you think?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And that's literally how Good Hair was formed. So it wasn't like we sat down, had an amazing business plan, and started the business. No, it just appeared. It just erupted. So for us, everything was trial and error. There was no blueprint. There wasn't really any mentors or role models or whatever that we could, sort of learn from or follow. We just had to freestyle every single thing. Now, luckily for us, because we're so passionate and, we're pretty much like models for our own, products, it was kind of like easy to sell the hair, so people would come, they'll see what's on my head or what's on Kika's head and want to buy it immediately. So I keep telling people that, in our first month, we actually broke even. We didn't invest too much money in the business, so don't think, oh, the profit was whatever. No, I think I brought £800, Kika brought £800, and we got the money from our parents at the time. And so I think we started with £1,600, and then we just ordered hair. So we made the money and some, in our first month. And then all the money that we made, we put back in the business, and that's literally how Good Hair started to grow. It was absolutely organic. We didn't have any like massive funds injected or anything. It was just growing at a very steady pace. So yeah, that's how Good Hair started. Now, obviously, when you start a business and it's going well at first, you can get comfortable, so you don't necessarily anticipate anything going wrong. You just get really comfortable. Now, I think this was maybe like 5 months or 6 months into the business. We already started to, sort of like establish a name. People knew Good Hair. People loved Good Hair. We're getting loads of clients. And then we ordered hair from the supplier that we normally used to use at the time. And then we sold it. We sold like maybe to like 20 people. And then the phone call started. They were like, "What kind of rubbish is this? What kind of stupid hair is this? It's shedding everywhere." We're like, "No, our hair doesn't shed." They were like, "It's shedding, it's shedding. You're rip-offs. You guys are thieves. How can you sell hair for so expensive and it's shedding?" We're like, "No, our hair doesn't shed." Then another person will call. They'll be like, "The quality is so bad. It's tangling. It's this, it's that." And so I was like, "Kika, what the hell's going on?" So I think we must have asked someone to return the hair. And then we saw we had a really, really bad batch of hair. And
Wow.
This is something that we just didn't anticipate. We didn't even think that it could happen. It's like, how do you order hair from somebody for 6 months and then one day they send you a load of crap, And obviously, because we're a luxury service, like we sell luxury products to like a luxury market, they expect quality. They expect good quality. They don't even want to see a strand come off, because people expect value for money. So this is something that we didn't even envisage. And it was like, oh my God, what do we do from here? Because obviously word started going around, these girls, they're selling rubbish, blah, 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 Now, obviously, that was a huge challenge. We could have easily just been like, giving up, or like, I know a lot of Nigerians, they don't like to give money back. Most Nigerians would be like, sorry, and that's it, But of course, as a business person, sometimes, these things are bound to happen. It's only right that if people are paying, they should get what they're paying for. So we got every single person that we had sold hair to, whether or not they complained, from that particular batch to, return the hair. We gave them their money back, and then we replaced all the wigs that we sold. Do you understand? So not only did we not make money from that batch, we lost, because as compensation for even wasting their time or giving them, bad quality products, which wasn't really our fault, but it happened, we gave them compensation. you know, and that way we were able to retain every single client that we could have potentially lost, you know. And obviously, you know how people are. When you're getting freebies, they're not going to insult you. So obviously they didn't spread the word or whatever. So that one died there. That was our first challenge, the first slap in the face. And we're like, okay, no, this business, we need to take it seriously. At this point, Kika and I decided, you know what, we're going to travel to all these different countries that we purchase hair from, because online, you know, these suppliers, you don't know who they are. Do you understand? It's just another faceless person. To be honest, you could send them money and they won't even send you hair. And that happened quite a few times. We'll send like, you know, money for samples and they won't send us anything. So we were like, you know what, the suppliers that we trust, let's actually go and meet them face to face. You know, go and find out what school their kids go to, get them a bit scared, like, listen, we know you and we know you very well, so they don't mess us up. And that's when we took our first trip, Kika and I think this was in 2011. You know, so we traveled to a few countries, you know, met with our existing suppliers, you know, got new suppliers, you know, established a strong bond and relationship with them. And believe it or not, but 10 years later, we still use some of those suppliers. You know, so I think that's probably one of the best moves that we made. And we've never really faced that sort of issue again, you know, them sending us crappy hair or whatever. So what we promise you is what you get in our business. So that's one thing. Now, I'll say another challenge that we faced in England. I'm going to start from my phase in England, and then I'll come to the Nigerian one. Don't worry, wait for the Nigerian one. England is small play. Our second phase, our second phase in England, I'll say lack of financial education. You know, we didn't really have people back then. I mean, there weren't that many entrepreneurs or people that, you know, would even like branch out to do anything remotely business related. As you know, like for most Nigerian children, if you're not a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, and I don't know, guys, what are the other things that if you're not, you're a failure? You know, so you have to be one of these things, investment banker. If not, you know, what are you really doing? And I studied law, you know, I was a lawyer. I am a lawyer. I was studying law at the time when we started the business. And for me, it was really just part-time. It wasn't something that I was going to like, you know, take super seriously, if I'm being honest with you. It was just like, okay, yeah, you know, side hustle, extra money, you know, pocket money is never that great. So I was like, you know, this would buy me my Chanel bags, no problem. So we didn't really get any financial education or, you know, understanding of how to sort of like put money back in your business properly, you know, grow your capital, save, invest, all these things. We didn't understand it. So okay, so for like maybe 1 year of the business, the first year we're putting the money back. Once we grew it to a point where we were comfortable, we started taking out profit. So everything we made in profit, we would take it out. You know, and unfortunately, we now experience the good life. So it was like, okay, quick, when are we getting paid? When are we getting paid? Every single thing that we made in profit, Kika and I will take it out, we'll split it right down the middle. We'll go straight to Selfridges, go and buy bags, shoes, you know, go clubbing, BMF. We used to buy champagne in the clubs. You know, we just felt like, yeah, we're balling, you know, we're making profit, you know, but we didn't understand that all this money that we're taking out of the business should have been going back into the business and growing the business. And the truth is, if we had probably started doing this from scratch, maybe Good Hair would have been probably even 10 times bigger than what it is, you know. But for the longest time, we weren't really thinking like that, you know. We're just thinking, yeah, we have like a certain stock that we order. So let's just say like we order like, say, 200 bundles. That would be the only thing that we would order. You know, we'll make the profit from that, split it, spend it, order another 200, make the profit, spend it, order another 200, which is extremely stupid because we had all the clients, we had the audience, we had the fan base, we had people that were ready to spend, but we limited the stock that we were providing, which ultimately limits your business and, you know, the amount of money that you can ultimately make. You know, but at the time, nobody told us any better. So the business was very stagnant. It was doing well, but it was very stagnant, you know, and maybe it took us like maybe 3 years to realize that, okay, no, you don't actually spend your profit. You pay yourselves a salary, put yourself on a strict salary and put everything back into the business. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say it was too late, but it was way down the line. So that's another thing that I feel like if we had people that were there to financially educate us, the business would have been so much bigger than, you know, it is right now. So that's another thing when I was in England. And then everything else was fine, you know, registration was smooth, our employees were fine, we didn't have any issues until we decided to step foot in Nigeria. So I want to say that doing business in Nigeria is such a blessing, but it's almost like a curse at the same time. You know, I won't lie to you, business here is not for the faint-hearted. You need to be strong, you need to be resilient, you need to be determined, you need to be able to persevere, you need the grace of God. How about that? You need to be prayerful, because sometimes I wake up in the morning and it's like, I don't even know how my day is going to go. I don't know what crappy thing's going to happen. I don't know what unforeseen expense I'm going to, encounter. It's almost scary, for one lack of a better word. So anyways, moved to Nigeria. It was amazing. We got a small location, because, we're still testing the market, trying to understand what our client base would be. I'd gone to law school, got a 2-1. I got offers from different law firms, an oil and gas company, so I was ready. I was like, you know what, I'm going to work, as a lawyer. I will have the business on the side, which was always my plan anyway. I'll go to work 9 to 5, get to the office, the salon at 6 p.m. and then, find out how everything's gone, take my earnings for the day, and that's it, go to bed. That was my plan. And it all seemed to be, coming out smoothly. I got a job, and then we opened. I think maybe 5 days later was when I realized that, this law thing, let me just put it aside for now, because there's no way I'm leaving my business in the hands of these people to just run down, And for me, it was such a rude shock and a rude reality, because I think I just didn't know what to expect in terms of staffing or employees in Nigeria, or the work ethic or luck. I didn't know what to expect. So, for me, it was a rude awakening, so the first thing, having to even put the law aside, I wasn't too happy about it, because I am passionate about law and I'm really good at it. So I wanted to do both, but opening an actual physical shop here made me realize that, you need to sort of pick a focus. And because obviously the business was doing really well, it would have paid much more than law at the time. If you're a lawyer in Nigeria, you know the deal. So I was like, okay, let me follow this money. So I just put the law thing on hold, not permanently. I mean, I still did contracts and everything at the time, which I still do. But in terms of actually physically working in a firm, that was on hold. And then the staff, number one challenge. The way they started to deal with us left, right, and center, I didn't even know where to start from. I did not see it coming. First of all, the work ethic. So it's okay, you train people, sort of show them how things should be done, and they just still do it the way they feel like doing it anyway, And so for me, I was like, I don't understand, what's the point in all of this training if people are still going to do things the way they deem fit? There just wasn't that dedication that you would find typically in, in other civilized or westernized countries. People just didn't really seem to care. Everybody was just sort of after the money. It's let me do, go home, pay me at the end of the month, And so I just felt like no one really was sharing in the same passion, and zeal. And because we had just moved from England at the time, honestly, our methods were very different. We paid really well. We we gave loads of benefits, things that I would say they weren't even used to, but they just they just didn't understand. They just didn't care. It was what they could get at the end of the day. So first things first, I realized that if I want this business to do well, I have to physically be here, because for every second I turned my back, they were doing the complete opposite, either being rude to customers or, just not doing the hair properly. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to suspend everything else in my life, including my social life, and focus on this business. First challenge. Second challenge, people poaching your staff. You go through all this effort, we'll train, me and Kika will go and get trained. We'll go to different countries, get trained by the best of the best, come back to Nigeria, train our staff. They'll get really good. We'll start getting loads of clients. Other vendors will see, this good hair is popping over. This particular stuff is really good. Next thing, they're offering my stuff that I pay 80K, 250K. Even me, if I will go. Do you understand? If I were the staff, I'll go. Because if someone's going to offer you 3 times what they're being paid, you're going to leave, But it's just how do you do that? You see somebody has, so much effort into training, and you just come and clear all their stuff. So for me, I just realized that with staff here as well, there's no loyalty, and even till tomorrow, I say to people that have businesses and maybe have retained staff for years and years, and I know that there's not many of them, but I know that there's 1 or 2 out there. I'm just how do you do it? Because I don't understand that one, guys. I'm not gonna act like, yes, here's the formula. I don't know the formula. For me, I depend on the grace of God to bring good people my way, you know, that will be honest, loyal, and just, you know, sort of appreciate what you do for them. You know, so yeah, just loyalty. Didn't really get much of that with staff. Obviously theft, you know, if you own a business in Nigeria, you understand that. I'm a lawyer, an accountant, a financier, I'm an auditor, I'm a ninja, everything you want to call it, I am that. Because with staff in Nigeria, you have to pay attention. Every single person, you know, is pretty much out for what they can get. And before, I just used to think, you know, these people are so evil, they're so mean, blah, blah, blah. But to be honest, not really. Like, if you look at the economy, the society, you know, you can't really blame them, you know. So like maybe the cleaners, we pay like 35, 40,000. But then they have to get transport home. They have to feed. Some of them have families. You know, it's like, at the end of the day, like sometimes, I mean, not to, you know, sort of pat them on the back for stealing, but in a way, like you can't really blame them for even being such hustlers, you know. But of course, like I said, it was another rude shock, you know, the reality of things in Nigeria. Your stock is not your stock, it's everybody's stock, unless you hold it tight with everything that you own, you know. And of course, like over time, we started to put like proper processes in place to minimize theft and minimize, you know, all these other things. But you know, like I said, our first year in Nigeria, it was just, it was crazy. Also, if you run a business in Nigeria and you have a location where you either provide a service from or you keep your products, you know that there's so many unforeseen expenses that you probably wouldn't experience anywhere else. So where we were making a certain amount in profit when we were in England, and that profit was sure every month. If we said we're going to pay ourselves 10,000 every month, that's exactly what we're going to pay ourselves. But in Nigeria, it wasn't like that. This month it will be 10,000, next month is 3,000, next is 12. You know, it fluctuated so much because different expenses will creep up from different places. So for instance, you get a store, you pay your rent, you know, you pay your service charge, then you have to buy a generator on top because, you know, maybe the gen's not working, but then you need to function because you're a business and your business, you know, needs electricity to function. So you end up having to buy a gen. Where's the money supposed to come from to buy this, you know, 10 million naira gen? Number one, you buy the gen, you know, apart from the service charge that you're paying, you have to buy diesel for your gen to function. So all of this is eating into your profit. You've been suffering with this gen, buying diesel, and then the next thing, your gen breaks down. You have to find one mechanic from God knows where to come and fix it. They're slapping on all the bills in the world because they know you have no choice and you have to pay. You know, so there's so many different things that could come about. You know, obviously even us building structures are not that great. So, you know, things could be collapsing in your store. It's just, I mean, it's just crazy. You know, so for me, like, I wasn't prepared for all these little unnecessary expenses, you know. Even with your staff, like you pay them salary, but of course someone's mom's going to die 10 times, you have to pay for the funeral 20 times, you know. There's just always different stories. Everyone's child is always sick, you know. It's like, it's non-stop. It's just non-stop. So your money is not necessarily just your money. So it's like you have to factor, you know, I want to say miscellaneous, but it's more than miscellaneous. Just factor the Nigerian factor, basically, when you're, you know, counting your profit. So that was another crazy thing that I'd say we experienced in Nigeria. And then, you know, okay, so our first store was okay. Things were going well. It was, you know, it served the purpose at the time. But as God will have it, it got to a point where we outgrew the space. So, you know, demand became more than supply. We just didn't really have enough space to cater to all the clients that were coming because, you know, I remember then, like, people will come, they'll be getting hair done in my office, outside, by the toilets. There were clients sitting everywhere, and it was like, okay, no, we need a bigger space. Like, we actually need to move. Now, luckily, because obviously we'd learned, you know, we had grown the business, and then just some money aside, typically as savings. So the business was the business had money, you know. Good Hair had its own money just sitting in an account. So when it was time to expand, you know, we waited until we could afford it. You know, I won't lie, we tried to expand maybe the year before that, but we could not afford to. So we stayed where we were. But then luckily, you know, we're able to save up, build up enough capital. And another reason why we did that is because Nigeria is not really like investment friendly, should I say. You know, there are not that many opportunities to get like grants or like loans or, you know, assistance from the
You need
government.
the AGS drive.
Yeah, but like, you know, you can't just walk into like, you know, a bank and be like, oh, I need this amount. In England, like if you got a loan, you would be charged between maybe 1% and 3%, depending on your credit rating. You know, so it's doable. Anyone can pay back with 1% or 3% if you know what you're doing. But when you go to a bank and you ask for a loan and they're telling you 21%, I'm like, it's okay, keep your money. Do you understand? Why would I give you 21% of my how much am I making? And you want to collect 21%. So it's unreasonable. You know, most people that are just starting businesses, first of all, can't even afford that. You know, you're not even guaranteed to break even in your first year, because typically I think with businesses you don't break even on average until after like the first 2 years for some businesses, you know. So it's absolutely unreasonable to tell somebody, so by the time I'm paying you back, I'm paying you 40% or what. Like, it doesn't work, you know. So for us, we were like, there's no need going to a bank, because I personally, as an Ibogo, I'm not trying to give you 20% back. And, you know, there just weren't that many people offering grants or trying to help businesses grow. So for us, we had to save the money. The business had to save. I remember the last 6 months when it was time to move, Kika and I, we didn't get paid. Between 6 to 8 months, honestly speaking, we didn't get paid. We just put everything into the good hair space. No salary, no dividends, nothing. We're like, every single money that Good Hair is making is going into this new space, because we wanted to come with the bang, you know. So that's pretty much how we're able to move, you know. As God will have it, we left our little shop at the back of someone's mall, you know, and we got our own mall. And, you know, how we even came about the Good Hair space, you know, we found this place. It looked amazing. You know, I loved the layout. It was kind of like L-shaped, and, you know, a lot of parking. It was very open plan. I just loved it. Like, I was like, no, we have to get this space. But it was really massive, and they're just, you know, I was like, there's no manner of hair or salon that we're doing that's going to occupy this whole building. It was pointless. So we just figured out, you know what, let's get the space and then figure out what to do with the rest of it, you know, which obviously we decided to rent it out to people. Now, that's another thing that we sort of added on, being landlords, renting out spaces. Nobody warned me. Nobody warned me for the drama. I think with renting out spaces to people, it's not even like, it's just the drama that comes along with it. You know, everyone prays to God that, you know, you have good tenants that would just pay you your bill, pay their rents, pay bills, and just, you know, be decent. I don't want to go into too much detail, but let's just say that it wasn't easy, you know, running. And then obviously, if you guys know, Brass and Copper came about, you know, so we had Good Hair. We became partners with Brass and Copper, you know. Funny enough, one of the owners of Brass and Copper is my cousin. And, you know, we had said to him, oh, come and rent a space in our building. And he was like, okay, yeah, sure. They own Cocoon. If you guys know Cocoon on Awolowo Road, it's a club. So they were like, yeah, sure. We'll bring Cocoon to your space. And I was like, no, you're not bringing a club next to a salon. That's just not going to work. So you guys, you know, take it a notch down. Maybe do a lounge or a restaurant, but something chilled. Like, we can't have a club there. And then they were like, yeah, but, you know, they haven't run a restaurant before. And we were like, well, hello. And they were like, you guys want to partner? We're like, of course. You know, as businesswomen, I always say, success is when opportunity meets preparedness. You know, so at the time, because me and Kika are so gingered and just always so ready, once the opportunity came, we took it immediately. And even though like none of us had owned a restaurant, we had trust me, Kika and I don't even enjoy cooking. Like, now I do it by force, but trust me, like at the time, cooking was not even in our radar. But we still ventured into this business because the opportunity came. The guys were going to bring all the investment and we're going to be equal partners. So I mean, why the hell not? So that's how we jumped on board. That's how we became partners of Brass and Copper. So that was there. Brass and Copper was one of the tenants, and then we had like other branches in there. So now, running the Good Hair salon, running Brass and Copper, and then running the Good Hair space in its entirety, because obviously there's a lot of things that go into, you know, when you have a building, you have tenants, there's maintenance, you know, you're there 1 second, tomorrow the roof has fallen off because of rain. The next week, all your glasses are broken. They're complaining, oh, the plants are not growing. You know, the plants are not growing. Oh, you know, my water's not coming in my shop, come and fix it. And because I obviously my office is inside Good Hair, so everyone has access to me. You run to my office, knock, knock, knock. Chioma, my water, my this, my that. So for me, like in the first year, honestly, I thought I was going to go crazy. Like, I think by the end, like by December, I had a meltdown. I froze. My brain, my body, everything froze. I could not do it. I was like, I couldn't do it. It was just too much, you know. And the thing is, obviously, I'm only human, so naturally, like, you know, with Brass and Copper, it was so exciting. It was new. We were meeting loads of people. I enjoyed the hospitality because, like, I really, really loved it. And for me, because it was a new business, I was so determined. I mean, I have partners and they're all amazing. Everyone plays their bit, you know, but I could only speak for myself personally. I was so committed to making sure that it was successful, you know, because, you know, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and anything that I do, I have to do it well. You know, my motto in life is whatever's worth doing, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. Otherwise, sit your ass down and don't do it, you know. So for me, Brass and Copper, like, I was in a mission to ensure that it was amazing, you know. But then what was happening was, as I was putting all my energy into Brass and Copper, I was neglecting good hair, which actually is our first love, because that's where we started from, you know. So it was very difficult for me at the time to just balance the two. So I felt like every time I put my all into Brass and Copper, good hair will be suffering. And remember what I told you about staff. You have to physically sit down and be there with them if you want excellence. So for every hour I spent in Brass and Copper, I was losing something at Good Hair. And then when I realized that, oh my God, you know, Good Hair suffering, Brass and Copper's doing well, let me leave it, I'll run back to Good Hair. And then the next thing, 3 waiters were still from Brass and Copper that night, you know. So I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, guys, what do I do? You know, what direction should I face? And then you have the tenants, you know, maybe someone's not paying their rent, they're arguing over service charge because we were newbies. So like, we would maybe set prices and then it would turn out to be more expensive, and then we'll be like, okay guys, you know, you have to pay a little bit more because this, you know, this is the cost, you know, no one's trying to cheat you, but this is the cost. And then I know you didn't tell us that from the start, we're not paying, you know. So at some point I was like, you know what, if I can't, like, I actually cannot do this. I physically can, like, I'm only one person. I feel like I'm being dragged left, right, center, up, down, and I can't, you know. So I remember saying to Kika, like, it's not worth it. Like, I can't do this. Do you understand? Like, I don't know what to do, you know. And I remember Kika just saying, like, you know what, just calm down, take each day as it comes. And, you know, bless her heart, every time I was like going through so much stress, she'll come from England, even if she runs like the English branch, she'll come from England, come and help me out, you know. Things will normalize, she'll leave, then I'll go crazy again. So I won't lie, guys, it's tough, you know. And I think it does look it looks a lot more rosy than it really is, you know. And then coupled with the fact that I am vain, you know, I will dress up every day. So don't think that I'm, you know, even though I felt like a bum, I didn't look like a bum, because I'll make sure that my hair's done, my makeup is done, I'll be slaying, you know. And not that I had to keep up appearances, you know. These things come natural to me anyway. Like, you wouldn't catch me slipping. I'll always look on point. But it's like I still had to do that. I couldn't forget who I was. I needed to continue to be who I was and be there for all these brands and businesses, you know. And I'm just one person. And I wasn't even 30. I think I was, what, 28? I was just like, you know what, guys, this life is not for me. You know, it was really tough. And so I literally had to learn to balance it all. You know, I had to just balance it all. I had to literally teach myself to just, you know what, so my problem, it's a blessing and it's a curse, me being a perfectionist, right? If you draw a straight line, only me will see that line is not straight. Everybody else in the room will be like, it's straight, it's straight. I will be like, it's not straight. And when you check it, if you measure it, you'll see that it's not straight. Do you understand? So that's how much of an eye for detail that I have. So it's good when you have one thing that you're focusing on, because you can apply your energy and your everything and give it your best. But then when you have a lot of things that you're focusing on, it's not sustainable, because as a human being, there's only so much you can do. So what would happen is I'd wake up at 8 in the morning, get ready, go to Good Hair. I'll be there till like 6 p.m. Then I'll go to Brass and Copper. Brass and Copper closes really late, by the way. Like, we do you know, close when the last person leaves, which is so stupid. I think we're going to stop that, because it's not sustainable. But anyways, I'll be in Brass and Copper till like 3, 4 a.m. Go to bed, wake up, resume at Good Hair, then Brass and Copper. I mean, it was hell. Both businesses were doing well, were making a lot of money, getting a lot of recognition, you know, but it was too much. It really, really was too much, you know. So when I realized that I needed to kind of like take a couple steps back, spread it out, balance it all, it was kind of like at the expense of maybe making slightly less money, you know. And once again, as an Igbo girl, it wasn't an option, but I had to do it, you know. I just had to do it because it wasn't sustainable. I needed to find balance. So I needed to dedicate certain amount of hours to Good Hair, certain amount of hours to brass and copper, certain amount of hours to being a landlord, certain amount of hours to my sleigh, certain amount of hours to like, you know, giving talks and seminars and whatnot, because that also became part of our portfolio. You know, we kept getting flown to different countries to give talks and speeches and seminars about entrepreneurship and business, because obviously I think we'd done it for 10 years at the time. Now it's like 11 going on 12 years, but at the time it was 10 years. So people just kind of like demanded us to come and, you know, speak to them and whatnot, and we had to do it. So for me, it was just too much. But I decided, you know what, I want these businesses to last. You know, I see good hair, you know, in every big city in the world in the next couple of years. You know, I see us having loads of branches of brass and copper. You know, these are businesses that we're not just doing it for the money or for the fun of it. It's because, you know, we did create value. At the time in Lekki, there was no restaurant or bar that looked the way Brass and Copper did, and that's the God's honest truth. There was no salon in the face of Nigeria or even Africa that looked the way Good Hair did, and I will say that proudly because it's true. You know, we put in so much effort and so much money into these brands and businesses that everyone started to emulate. We made salons it became a cool thing, do you understand, to own a good looking salon, because before people you didn't have to have a nice salon. People will still come anyway. Girls have to get their hair done. So if you like have your salon in the gutter, they'll still come. I would have gone to the gutter to do my hair because I needed to get it done. You know, so us even deciding to create that level of value was not something that we needed to do to grow the business. We did it because we wanted to give back. You know, we've had these businesses for so long. People have spent so much money. The least we can do is make it comfortable for them to come and get their hair done. You know, the least we can do is have an aesthetically pleasing restaurant or bar for people to come after a long day of work. And I knew that people didn't necessarily invest a lot of money in, like, you know, places in Lekki. But at the time I lived in Lekki, you know, and I just felt like every time I wanted to go out, I needed to go to VI or Ikoyi to hang out. And especially, I remember Sundays, for some reason, I always wanted to go and get a drink on a Sunday evening and shisha, because I used to love shisha, but I've stopped smoking shisha. It's bad, guys, don't do it. But anyways, I wanted, like, you know, shisha and a drink on a Sunday evening, but there was nowhere local for me to go, you know? So in building Brass and Copper, it was like, you know what, will want to go to, you know? So this was the source of value that we were determined to create in all our businesses. So yeah, I feel like I've been talking for so long. Guys, I hope you're listening. I hope it's going well.
Wow.
It feels like a monologue, like I'm just talking. Oh my God, like... But yeah.
Sorry?
No, just saying. But yeah, anyway, so no, I was saying, like, I feel like I'm just talking. But yeah, I'll round up anyway.
No, that's how it is. I've been noticing some things down. I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
The first one, are you done? Are you done with your
I mean, I'm pretty much done, you know, creating balance in the businesses and just ensuring that, you know, you give just enough time to each one. That way you create more of a sustainable business, as opposed to like being good at one and not necessarily the other and whatnot. So yeah, who says you can't diversify? You can, you know, not necessarily do so many things where you're now jack of all trades, no. But you can diversify and you can excel in each and every single one of them. It is possible.
Okay, I have some questions that I've written down from what you've been saying and stuff, and I'm sure it would also shed some more light on maybe some of the challenges that you've also faced. So first thing, how do you manage challenges between you and your partner, your business partner?
Okay, so luckily, you know, and I want to say that I don't think that we're experts at, you know, dispute management or whatever. No, I want to believe that we're just very lucky to have found each other, because, you know, partnerships aren't easy. A lot of especially female partnerships, because women can be very competitive. I think it's just in our nature to want to compete and be the best. So sometimes even without realizing, you're competing with the next person. So when you're in a partnership with someone and you have to make the same, you have to literally like take decisions together and literally do everything together. It's even tougher because the person's always in your face. But with Kika, luckily, we're very different. So we're very similar, but we're very different, you know. So similar in the fact that we have the same energy, we have the same dedication, we're both very hardworking, we have the same vision and the same goal, but different in the way that we deal with business. So like I'm very like, I'm a stickler for perfection. It has to go the way I want it to go, the way, you know, I'm that kind of person. It has to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know, whereas Kika's a bit more flexible. She's easygoing. It's like, yeah, whatever goes, you know. So she's more like, she's more fluid. I'm more rigid, you know. And it works because, you know, most times when I say, let's do this, she's like, okay, sure, let's do it. She doesn't have an issue with it. You know, but imagine if we were both rigid, we had that same characteristic where I'm saying, okay, no, let's do it this way. And she's like, no, it must be this way. I'm like, well, it's going to be my way. And she's like, well, it's going to be my way. We would clash, you know, it wouldn't work. So having that difference in personality has really, really helped. And I think also over the years, just obviously becoming a lot more mature and just understanding, you know, how life works and business, we've learned, I mean, we've always had this, but we've learned even more now to always exercise mutual respect. So for instance, if Kika has an opinion, even if I don't agree, I won't be like, no, we're not doing that. Do you know what I mean? I would probably, you know, run with it. And then if it doesn't work out, it's like, okay, let's try this, and vice versa. You know, if she doesn't agree with something that I want to do or what I'm saying, she won't necessarily argue or, you know, back talk me. She'll just, you know, let me run with it. And if it doesn't work out, we'll both discuss it as adults. So just having that respect for each other's opinions and personalities, I feel like has really, really helped. I don't know if being best friends has helped as well. I would like to think so, because I mean, we speak every single day, you know, we speak every morning, sometimes 5 hours, 10 hours if we're not together. And in the process of talking about other random things, you know, business always comes into play. So where we're talking about, you know, just think about whatever happened and didn't happen, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, this staff did this person did that, oh yeah, we need to order this, you know. So we talk about business as well, so that way the communication is present, you know. So there's not really room for anything to happen where the other person wasn't aware. You know, no one feels, even though I'm in Nigeria and she's in London and we have businesses in both places that we both run, you know, I never feel like, oh, I'm missing out on what's going on in London. And she never feels like she's missing out on what's going on in Nigeria, because we communicate everything
hey,
every single day. But unofficially. Huh? Is she here?
Yeah, she just
Hi,
said,
Kika. Hey, Kika, that means you just came. See this babe, and you're supposed to come at 4. Anyways, you're lucky I'm even talking about you. But anyway, so we communicate everything, like not officially, so it's not like we send an email every single day documenting what's happened in the day, but you know, just from gist, it's like, okay, yeah, we need to order hair, we need to do this, Brussels Copper, you know, we kind of do that. So it's worked perfectly well. With my other partners in Brussels Copper, you know, thankfully it's been, of course it can never be as smooth as mine and Kika's relationship, obviously, hello, but it's been good. You know, we've learned, luckily, because Kika and I have sort of grown and learned to understand, you know, working with partners, you know, coming into a new partnership, it was slightly easier, because even if you didn't agree with somebody's personality or opinion, you kind of need to respect that, because that's the only way you can survive. You know, so I feel like we already had the experience that we needed to create and form new partnerships, and, you know, even more to come, because yeah, we get it like that.
Plenty questions coming. Okay, so I have another one. How did you start saving, and what did you start investing in? Like, can you just give us a few examples of some of the things that you invested in, like while you were still in London and stuff, even before you came back? Or did you invest in London, or you invested in Nigeria?
So, I mean, let's, in the spirit of being honest, in London, we, like I said, we invested in bags and shoes from Selfridges, because you know, we were still young and, you know, we're still living our best lives. And like I said, we didn't necessarily have any financial education to make us understand that, you know, money's not to be spent like that, you know. And guys, just for the record, you know, the thing about life and business and, you know, what have you, making money is, money's not guaranteed. Do you understand? I remember like growing up with, you know, some of my family friends, they had like private jets and they didn't even understand what first class was, because they only flew private, you know. And some of these people now, you know, honestly, they have absolutely nothing. Like they now beg me for money. Do you understand? And it's not to say that it's by any fault of theirs, but it's just how fluid life is. You know, today you can have so much and tomorrow you don't, you know. So I kind of live my life as if to say, by next year, my business is going to drop. I'm not going to have anything, you know. So instinctively, I'm forever saving for a raining day because you just never know, you know. But obviously in London when we were young, we didn't realize this and we would just spend, you know. So I think moving to Nigeria, just becoming more mature, getting a bit more financial education was when we realized that we needed to start saving. And so we started saving money. We'll put money in like fixed deposits. So we have like a lot of money that we put in fixed deposits in different banks. We never really like use one bank because if that bank crashes, all your money is gone. So we kind of like spread out our money, you know, so America, the UK, Nigeria, different banks, you know, so fixed deposits everywhere. You know, government bonds are a very good, you know, source of, you know, growing your money and keeping it safe because they're a lot more reliable, you know. With stocks, buying shares in companies and stocks, it's good, you know, long term. For the most part, it's usually good. You know, it's a bit risky, obviously, because, you know, sometimes shares do crash, so you could also lose money. So I don't know if that would be the first thing that I would advise somebody to do, unless you had a lot of money that, you know, some that you didn't really mind if you lost it or made more. If you have spare cash, then I'll say go and buy shares and stocks. But, you know, government bonds, fixed deposits, property is always a good way, you know. For us, it was just always important that we secured that and made sure that, you know, we had property that we could call ours.
I'm going to get to that.
I remember
question,
when I bought my house that I need now.
Don't, when we come back, I'm going to be my next question. And we have just 2 minutes more before this like Instagram cuts us off. So I didn't want you to start the gist so that we will not break the gist. But you guys, if the phone cuts off, come back. We're still here for another hour. And we're going to like that. I have like plenty questions. Can you see? This is even before we now take like questions from the audience.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so get ready. I think you've already answered some of them as you were talking, so I probably will not ask everything. But yeah, just come back. This phone cuts off. Let me see if there's any easy question. But I really want you to take your time and explain them very well. So let me see. Can you do your hair? That's an easy one, so you can quickly answer it in 1 minute. Can you do your hair yourself?
Hello, of course I can. You cannot be at the mercy of your staff, you know. Whatever they can do, you make sure you can do that so that when they leave, you get cracking yourself. Of course I can do my hair.
Okay. And you can do hair as well for other people.
Yes. I mean, we're not hairdressers, but we can. Kika, don't ask me any questions. I don't trust you. But yeah, we can. And sometimes we do. You know, some clients actually specifically request for Kika and I to do their hair. And we're like, we're not hairdressers, but they're like, oh, no, we want you to do it. So then we just do it because, I mean, what the hell, we can. And they're paying, so why not?
Okay. That was an easy one. I just wanted to get that out of the way so that we don't waste our 1 more minute. So anyway, you guys come back. Join us. We're still here. Join the AGS tribe as well. The link is in our bio. It's absolutely available. And I hope, Chioma, you join us as well because we have so many.
I will, of course. I'm here.
Who would also want to learn from you and who you can.
I'm here.
Yay! Okay.
Kika's like, no one can do a shakara.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll save this video so that you guys that weren't here from the beginning, you can always go back. Hopefully Instagram doesn't make a mess of it, so I'll save it anyway so you guys can go back and listen again, write your notes and stuff, and all that. So we're back in 1 minute. It's I think 1 more minute now. It's 5 o'clock. Yeah. Is anyone else asking? What's Kika saying?
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. There seems to be a lot of people, guys. That's really nice. Yeah. We appreciate it. I love the fact that, you know, people are so willing to come and listen and learn. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, Instagram, they didn't even want me to say 2 more minutes and they'll just cut off rudely. Hey guys, we're back. Hi. Hello. So I'm waiting for Chioma now. Thanks for coming back very quickly. Hello everyone. For those that are just joining us, this is AGS Tribe and we're hosting Chioma Goodhead today. She's going to be taking us through some of her challenges, some of the challenges that she's faced, take us through her journey and how she's come out as an amazing, entrepreneur. So let me write the topic. I'm just typing. I'm just trying to pin. Hi, I'm trying to pin the comment, the title.
Okay. I don't even know how to do all that stuff.
Yes. We're back. So now people can ask all the questions. But now we're going to start with this one. How were you able to save enough to buy a house?
Okay, so the same way we sort of like save with the Good Hair Space, you don't wake up in the morning and decide, oh yeah, I'm going to buy a house. It's something that you sort of plan, in advance. So obviously, we operate in London and we operate in Nigeria and we have various businesses. So we have multiple streams of income. And with every single business that we have, we get paid salary and we get dividends as well. So, I mean, there's good money coming in, let me put it that way. And with financial education, I've been able to put myself on, so basically you have money that you spend and you have money that you put aside for whatever, And as part of my savings, I had a home fund, which was just money that I was setting aside to buy property when the time was right. So if I'm being completely honest with you and in the spirit of transparency, when it did come around to, buying property, my savings was not enough, because the house, if you guys have been house haunting in Nigeria, you know that a lot of properties are a joke, the way it's built, you just enter, the bathroom is just disgusting, the kitchen is nasty, it's never to the standards that, one would want unless you're building yourself. So every single place that I saw was it just didn't cut it, And the only place the only places that I really liked were just way above my budget, So luckily for me, like I said, because we have, businesses all over, I was able to liquidate. So like, obviously I had money in London, in the US, I had to literally like liquidate almost everything. Trust me, after buying my house, I was broke. I don't know how people started asking me for money shortly after, oh, you're balling. I'm like, no, when you buy a house, you're no longer balling because you put all your money into buying the house. How do people not know this? But anyways, I literally needed to like liquidate everything, some of my fixed deposits, some of these like bonds and everything, got all the money out. And luckily for me, when I found the place, I'd come with my parents to view this property actually. And they all fell in love with it. My parents loved it. My mom, all she kept saying was, it's beautiful, it's beautiful. As a mom, calm down, it's not that beautiful, it's beautiful, but I cannot afford it, So they fell in love with it. They absolutely loved it. I loved it as well. And I got a good deal. I was going to put down what I had, and funny enough, I was going to actually get a loan from the bank to pay the rest of it. A small mortgage, not a lot was left, just a little bit, to pay my mortgage. And I remember going to the bank the next day. I went to different banks trying to check out the mortgage. By the way, mortgages in Nigeria, I'm sorry to say, but it's a joke. Like, it's not that straightforward, so many penalties, so many hidden charges, it's expensive. So I think I was almost feeling defeated at the time. And then, I remember that afternoon, my dad called me. He was like, oh, come to my office. And I was like, I have a meeting at work later. And then my mom called me. She was like, did your dad call you? And I said, yeah, my dad called me. She was like, so are you going to go see him? I was like, no, mom, I have a meeting. Like, I'm busy. And then she was like, okay, then. She's like, well, try and see your dad. But okay, then no problem. Like, you don't want when somebody has a plan and then you're doing shakara. So they're like, okay, no problem. And then something in my spirit said, you know what, like cancel whatever meeting you have and just go. And I remember going to my dad's office that day, and, you know, I think for most parents, the joy of seeing a child like just, you know, wanting to get their own and, you know, be independent and, you know, be wise with their spending is the joy of every parent. You know, I'd like to believe that. So for my dad, he was like, you know, where were you? I said I was at the bank trying to figure out the mortgage. He was like, how much do you have? You know, I showed him everything that I had, told him. He was like, how much do you need? I told him, and he was like, okay, no problem. He said, I will loan you the money. And I was like, okay, like I was so shocked. Didn't expect it, you know, but you know, with parents, once they give you that money, it's yours. So, you know, so that's the honest truth about how I was able to pay, you know, for the house completely.
Okay, well done. Congratulations. Like, you don't see many people, many young ladies buying property in Nigeria. I know that in London it's easier, in the UK it's easier because mortgage is easier and stuff, but in Nigeria it's a nightmare. So well done. Well done with that. Okay, also, how many employees do you have?
So I think in total, with all our businesses, I'd say about close to 100.
Oh, wow. Wow. And how do you manage all of them?
Girl,
especially because you're not even around most of the time.
It is
the traveling.
It is the grace of God.
But your traveling is on another level.
It's the honestly, it's the grace of God. You know, do you know what? I wouldn't even, you know, sit here and say, yes, I'm perfect, I have it all figured out. No, I don't. You know, we certainly don't have it figured out when it comes to, like, you know, staff or employees. But you can put processes in place. You can put certain, like, processes in your business that just sort of allow the business flow and function, you know, so where everybody sort of, you know, you have your KPIs, you know what you're supposed to.
I think the internet is being wonky. I think the internet is breaking. Chioma, your internet is breaking. Can you hear me very well? Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay. You know,
your thing is frozen.
it's frozen. Is it still frozen?
No, it's better now.
Is it good now or worse?
Yeah, it's better now. Yeah, better.
Okay. Yeah. So with stuff like low-key, we kind of like it, you know, when you have like two staff that aren't really getting on, and, you know, this one's exposing the other person. You know, it's kind of funny because, you know, that way you kind of really know what's going on and you know what to do. But yeah, honestly, just having like checks and balances, having, you know, processes that they can follow, and everyone just knowing what they need to be doing when, you know. You can also set targets. Setting targets is really good because it keeps everybody accountable, and you need to have like reward schemes. So if somebody reaches their target or they meet a particular deadline, they need to know that there's a reward at the end of it, so that way they feel like a lot more motivated to actually, you know, perform well. So yeah. Money is a driver. Money is a driver. So bonuses, things like that, it definitely like helps.
Okay. So what do you do when people poach your staff? How do you manage that?
I plot to kill them. I'm joking. But do you know what, honestly, that you can't really do anything because one thing I've realized, funny enough, with staff is when they leave and you, like, you know, beg them to come back or convince them to come back, it's just never the same, you know. So they kind of come with like 10 heads now. They feel like, madam needs me. She can't survive without me. And it's just never the same, you know. So my prayer is that people just don't poach our staff, because the moment they do, and if that staff isn't loyal enough to stay or, you know, inform you, sometimes the staff will actually come and tell you, madam, I got offered this, you know, and it's a really good offer. So, you know, are you going to match it or should I leave? And if the person's worth it, honestly, if you have good staff, keep them. You know, so sometimes we've had to, you know, match offers or even like give them raises because we need them to stay. But if it's a situation where I can't match your offer, then, sometimes they just have to go. You can't do anything about it, honestly. But then when whoever poaches our staff is beef for life, is beef. Like, we can never be friends. You cannot beg me. It's done. Don't even try it. So yeah.
Okay.
Hold on, babe.
You
Before
manage
we
to
move on,
slay
somebody just said,
every day.
are the employment contracts not binding? That's a very good question because I'm a lawyer. I write these contracts out. The legal system in Nigeria, you know how hard it is. Do you understand? It's like, okay, somebody left. Do you now take them to court? The time that it will take to actually, process the case and hear it out, it's really, really hard. And sometimes these people say, they tell you that they live somewhere, and we have people that literally like go and check out your guarantors. We go to their houses, they can just disappear. I don't know how they do it, but we've had situations whereby, maybe a staff has stolen or done something and they've left, and we've tried to look for them, and the address that they gave us to, which we once physically went to, and they live there, they're gone, and there's nothing there. Do you understand? So you can't actually track these people, and because it's the sort of like employees we have are like maybe lower tier in terms of like education and whatnot, it's really hard to track them. So if I'm being honest with you, sometimes it's not even worth the hassle of going to courts and blah blah blah. It's just not. It's just not. So you're better off giving them incentives to stay as opposed to trying to fight them legally.
How do you manage to slay every day? Like every day?
Girl, it's what I do.
Because that one is not easy.
It's just, do you know what? Like, my friend OG is just always like, she's like, I don't know how you do it. I don't understand. Like, how do you wake up every day? Do you make up your hair? I think it's just second nature. It comes naturally. It's like how you wake up in the morning and you brush your teeth and you have a shower and that's your routine. It's also part of my routine to slay, if that makes sense. It's kind of like, it just comes natural. I think I'm used to it. I'm used to it. It's just part of my getting ready process, and this is how ready I want to be in the morning.
Okay. Now what?
Plus. Let me be honest. I guess I don't have kids. I don't really have that added, suffer ahead of having to get 5 people ready before coming to myself. It's me, myself, and I. So I can pamper myself for now, because maybe when I have kids, things might be different. I don't know. But yeah, I think I have enough for myself.
Okay. Do you have a physical space in London? You've been saying you have a space in London.
Yes.
Do you have a physical
So currently we did have a space, but we moved out because we wanted to get a bigger space. But you see, okay, guys, this is an advantage of running a business in Nigeria. When it comes to, getting spaces, renting, it's a lot easier. Let me be honest with you. In England, it's very different. Now, the issues that we ran into was with our location. The places, the areas that we wanted, because obviously we're luxury, we have a luxury brand. Our clientele will be typically like the elites and middle class, I'll say, and they live in certain areas. So the areas like central London, where we've been trying to get our store, the charges are so ridiculous. Sometimes the business rate for the year is more than what your rent is for that entire year. Doesn't make any sense. Like, it's just so ridiculous. So when we moved out of our previous space, everywhere that we found, it just didn't really make any business sense or any financial sense. And so we had just been, focusing on our online sales. We operate from an office. We do have an office in England, and, we've just been operating online. And if I'm being honest with you, it's very smooth. Like, it's really good. People order online. We send the hair out to them. We don't really have the overheads that we do have in Nigeria, because in Nigeria, like, for instance, now it's COVID, no one's making as much money. Thankfully, we're still selling, but no one's making as much as they were making, before COVID. But then all your bills still stand. I don't think that there's anyone in Nigeria that like, oh, you know what, have 3 months off, don't pay us anything. They're not going to do that. So once, the month comes to an end, all our bills are still going to be there. We still have to pay everything, But in London, we don't really have those overheads at the moment. So we're saving quite a bit of money in London, actually. But then that money that we're saving, we're just going to put it into our new store, because we're still looking. We've actually found the space, so we're just working on closing out that deal. So, yeah.
Okay. Have you felt threatened by competitors? in Nigeria and in London? Have you ever felt threatened?
Okay, so basically, the way Kika and I look at things, when you ask us who your competition, we're like, there's no competition. We have no competition. You know, it's just, we just don't. And it's not because we feel arrogant or like, oh yeah, nobody's good enough. It's not even that. But we're so focused on the prize. You know, when you're just headed straight, it's almost like we have like a hanky on both sides of our faces where we're just, Kika, stop distracting the people. Then let them listen to this girl. I could just see everyone laughing, Kika, Kika, Kika. So anyways, we just, so basically, we have our eyes on the prize and we look forward, you know, so we're not distracted by who's doing what, who's not doing what. Of course, in the past, we've had people, you know, maybe people feel threatened by our brand and, you know, they do these funny things where they want to start a social media beef or war and all this stuff. And the truth is we can't engage them because, you know, majority of our clientele or followers are international because we did start in the UK. So I'm not going to be fighting a Nigerian hair seller and then my client from Russia is looking at me thinking, this girl likes drama. Do you understand? So it's just something that we don't even deal with. You know, we've had one bad experience, but that was that. It's over. Like, you know, that's pretty much it. We don't really focus on competition. You know, Keek and I, we always like, we literally have a plan. You know, we have a business plan. We strategize, you know, every month we strategize on what we want for the business, how well the business is doing against how well it's supposed to be doing, you know, and we literally have like our strategy and our plan for the next couple years. So there's so much to focus on that we don't even look left or right. Now, having said that, if you see somebody else that's doing something that's good, like let's just say there's another like hair company and their hair looks amazing or they've come up with new styles and new techniques, what we will do is, you know, take that on and try and see how we can infuse that with our own brand and make it better. You know, so not like, oh wow, look what they're doing competition. No, it's like, okay, this is the new style, the new technique, we jump on it, we learn it, you know, and we make it our own. So that's pretty much it.
Okay, so now I'm going into the questions from, you know, people on the chat. So someone said, did you work in the corporate world before the business?
Yeah, so just before I moved to Lagos, I was actually working in Lebanon in a law firm, and I mean, it was fine. You know, I think that I'm more of an entrepreneur than a 9-to-5er because, you know, up until like 2 years ago, I wasn't a morning person. So getting me out of bed before, like, in fact, in uni, I think I missed all my morning lectures. I don't know that I made it to any 9 o'clock class, you know, because getting me out of bed before 9 was such a struggle. So when I was working, you know, in the law firm, having to wake up at like 7 every day and be at work at 7, it was tough. But I mean, I was very good at what I did. Like I said, I'm a sucker for excellence. So whatever I'm doing, I will be doing it well. I applied myself, even though it was somebody else's business. I gave it my all because, you know, if you're getting paid to deliver a service, that's exactly what you should be doing, you know. And I think a lot of people feel like when you work for someone, they feel like, let me not give my all. After all, it's somebody else's business. After all, the person's making the money and not me. But what you don't understand is when you work for somebody else, you are gaining that experience. Nobody can take that from you. You know, so for everything that you do, every service you provide, every time you've had to wake up early and work late, that's experience that you've gained, and no one can ever take from you. So if you eventually ever decide to open your own company or start up, you know, your own business, you already have that experience. You already have that discipline. You know, you already have that willpower and you know, motivation to keep going. So yeah, I have worked for people before.
So someone said, how do you join your businesses with practicing law?
So because of how demanding our businesses are and, you know, the fact that they're also service-based, if we only had the online store, I could easily work in a law firm and then just employ somebody to, you know, ship out the hair every single day, because luckily we actually built our brand to the point where people trust us, you know. But because we have like actual physical stores where we provide services like the restaurant and, you know, the salon and all of that, you know, we have actual physical stores. I can't work in a law firm. That's just the truth. I can't, there'll be no, because law is very demanding. It's not really the kind of place that you can be doing this and doing so many other things. And for those that work in law firms, you know what I'm saying. So the only thing I can do at this point is just contracts. So I do like, property contracts, entertainment contracts, any contracts you give it to me, I'll write it up. But in terms of like actually physically working somewhere, I don't think that I don't know how possible it will be to juggle the two. But because I'm so passionate about law, I know that at some point, I'm definitely going to want to focus on it a lot more. And by God's grace, we would have built the businesses to the point where it can function remotely without us. So let's say we get we're going to go into franchising. That is one of our plans. And if we're able to have branches, all over the world that we don't necessarily physically have to be there, then of course I can do my full-time practice.
And well done on finishing with the 2-1 in law school. I know that's the hardest thing.
It's so hard.
That's the hardest thing. My friends that are lawyers are like, please, they will tell you that, let me just finish with 2-2. Let me just know that I'm done. So for you to finish with 2-1, that just shows me that you're an ethical. So sometimes people just see you slaying and doing all these things, but you're an actual ethical for you to finish. And just because everybody there, schooled everywhere. So it's cool. You're happy with that finish. London, America, everywhere, people in Nigeria, and for you, so it's the same test that is given to everyone. So trust me, London.
Thank you.
Someone else is saying, what if you don't have a job? How do you save?
Girl, it's not magic. How manna doesn't fall from heaven. So if you don't have a job, you're not going to be able to save anything. You can save air, but that's about it. I feel like if you want to save, you have to work. And you have to put in so basically people see us now and they feel like, oh, I want what they have. I want to open a salon, I want to own different businesses, but it doesn't work like that. This is 11 years later. It's taken us this long to get to where we are and build the way that we've built. It's taken years of hard work, resilience, experience, as we're going through now, challenges, failures. There's a lot that goes into it, so you have to be patient. You have to exercise the patience, and you have to put in the hard work that is required. You have to do what it takes to get to the point that you see other people that you aspire to be like. So, darling, if you want to save money, you need to get a job. Your first job might not be that great. It might not be the salary that you're expecting. But when you work there, you gain enough experience to be able to apply for a better job that will pay you more, because now you have a wealth of experience that they probably need. And from there, that's how you continue to grow and grow and grow until you saved enough to actually do whatever you want to do.
Okay. Someone else is saying, how do you get to pay yourself when you have a company that isn't making money?
You can't pay yourself. You can't, and this is what I was saying about sacrifice. Like I said, when we wanted to open the Good Hair space, when we wanted to, just before we moved, because I think we anticipated like brands, we anticipated getting the space. We anticipated like all the services that would have to pay. We anticipated, buying furniture, but there were so many things that we just didn't even think about, having to redo the entire space, construction, just so many things that we didn't think of. And, it got to a point where we were kind of like running out of money a little bit. So we just stopped paying ourselves. We didn't get paid for a couple months. We made that sacrifice. Maybe it was easier for us because obviously we did have savings, so we could fall back on that, but we made that sacrifice so that we could achieve what we wanted to achieve. Now, for people that maybe don't really have savings initially or like a strong source of income, it's just bit by bit, if you don't have family that can help you out, it's really just bit by bit, take out as small as small as it is, it's still something, take out that little bit every month, put it aside, and before you know it, it'll actually become something. And then you can now put that money into something that will generate you more income, whether it's a business or fixed deposit or whatever it is. Or you could reach out to AGS Tribe to give you money.
Yeah. We don't have a special, but we're trying.
Yeah.
We try. Okay. So someone said, with little, very not, I don't even know, not up to millions of naira. Well, okay, so someone is saying, if you don't have a lot of money, pretty much, what kind of business idea do you suggest that the person should do?
So I feel like with business, it's very subjective, I think it would be wrong for me to be like, oh yeah, do this business, that business, because, what might work for me might not work for you. Hair was, it came natural to us because it was something that we enjoy doing, you know. So sometimes, honestly, work doesn't feel like work for us. It's like I get paid to, do you understand, like to do what I would do anyway. Does that make sense? So with business, I feel like the best businesses to start are the ones that you actually are passionate about, in a sense. And I know people say, oh, passion, what's passion? What's passion? Passion actually goes a long way, because when you get fed up or times where, you know, you can't take it anymore, it's that passion that will actually keep you going, you know. So if it's something that you really enjoy doing, and, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I love the way you do this, or I like how your dress looks, I like, you know, sometimes it's the reception from people or the reaction from people that will make you realize what you are good at, you know, or what you stand out in. And those are the things I feel like you should, like, you know, play around with and see how you can, you know, start that business. Food is always a good one. Food, I think food is good because everyone must eat. And I don't think that it's that expensive to buy like ingredients to cook. And yeah, so you can always consider that. Doesn't need a lot of capital to start up.
Okay. And for people who are saying they're looking for businesses, what I tell people is look at the sustainable development goals, and you look at the actual problems, because it's those kind of businesses that can actually scale to become very big, and you can also get investment and funding for, because they're actually solving a real problem. So not just anything. You know, you can't just, I don't think it makes any sense to just do anything just because, you know, you feel like doing it. So it's important for any business to scale, for any business to be sustainable and successful. It's important for you to do something that is actually solving a problem, because when you're solving a real problem, you can get investors, you can get volunteers, you can get people to buy into your idea. But if you're just doing it just because you just have maybe 5 naira or something and you just want to do it, then that business is not really going to, you know, go far. So I'm just looking for more questions. Yeah. Someone saying, considering that hair vendors now adopt dancing as a means of advertising hair, what advertising technique would you advise somebody just starting out to adopt in order to distinguish themselves?
You two dance. Just make sure you're the best dancer. Honestly, so the thing with social media is so predictable. You know, people want to be entertained, you know, and I keep saying to people, on social media, you have like 0.1 seconds to make an impression, you know, because there's so much going on. Everyone's literally just doing that. They're scrolling. So if you're not doing something that is, you know, catchy or to stand out, they're just going to scroll past whatever it is that you're selling, you know. And one thing that I've realized is people don't like to see obvious advertising. They hate that, you know. And even me, like if I see ad on top of, you know how they put that thing, ad, paid ad, I'm sorry, I don't trust what you're selling, darling, because I know you got paid to post this. So why am I going to buy that cream knowing that you got paid £1,000 to post it? I don't know if it works or not, you know. But if I feel like that's genuinely what the person uses, then I will buy more into it. So sometimes when you're trying to advertise or you're selling your product, yes, you're selling it.
It's hanging.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank God.
Okay. So yeah, so when you're advertising, keep it casual, keep it very light-hearted, keep it fun, keep it interesting, flirty, you know, have like a bunch of like, you know, girls, you know, maybe your friends or family members that look good, you know, get them to wear your hair, to model it, do interesting things, because that's what people buy into. You know, first of all, they want to see you and what you're doing before they look at what you're selling. Do you understand? Because people don't come on social media, okay, I have 10K today to spend. No one's trying to spend their money, but you have to draw their attention and then get them to spend, you know. So just keep it very lighthearted and do like interesting stuff that people will buy into. And then keep it consistent.
Like the video that you did this morning.
Okay, yeah.
Like that, you know, the video you did this morning with different hair.
Yeah.
Actually advertising your hair, but people would be.
But so basically, I know that I'm advertising the hair, but people think that, oh, I'm here just having fun during COVID. When I'm not mad. When I'm not mad, how can I wake up in the morning and think, oh, let me come and be dancing? No, there's something behind it, you know. And for every outfit that I post, you know, I'm constantly tagging good hair. I'm reminding you that my brand exists without saying, you know, oh, this hair, 10K. Exactly. Because trust me, that I mean, it's good when you say come and buy. There's also aggressive marketing. You know, if you look at the Kardashians, there's nothing that they post that they're not selling something. They're always like, oh yeah, my lipstick, my this, my that. So you can do aggressive marketing, but I just find that, like, trust me, people buy into it more when it's like, it's subtle advertising. So I'm getting in your head without you realizing that I am, you know, and it's always worked.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Kita said they always come back running and begging. So I'm guessing she's talking about some of the stars that leave. They always come back because they say that the grass is not green on the other side. So talk about that as well, because a lot of people think that it's easy to just start jumping ship, changing jobs and stuff like that, because it's actually happened even in my situation where people just think that, okay, well, let me just go. Let me just, leave this person. Let me go to that organization, and then the person comes back and starts to beg. So talk through that, and give some people here advice, because some people think that it's easy to even leave their jobs to start a business. They need to know that the hustle is real. So tell us about that.
So first of all, before I delve into that, let me just warn you guys. Life after COVID is going to be very different from what you're used to. First of all, a lot of people are going to be out of jobs. First things first. It's going to take this country probably 3 times the amount of time to get back to what it was, in comparison to the rest of the world. So no one should be too quick to be jumping ship or trying to leave your job or whatever, because businesses are going to struggle. Companies are already struggling. What more businesses? So let everyone just try and stay put right now, number one. Number two, in our case, in fact, not that the grass is not greener on the other side. There's no grass. You're jumping onto concrete. How about that? Every single member of staff that's left, Good Health, Brussels Cup, they've all come back, and that's just because I think we have a very good system in place. I think that we have, we have processes, proper processes that I think that some Nigerian people are just not used to. They don't like places that they can excel. They don't want to have to work hard. They want an easy ride. And sometimes when they land in a place that, when people mean business, they're not comfortable. So they want to jump somewhere else where they feel like they could just have it easy, come and steal the person's money and run away, blah, blah, blah. And what always happens is when they get there, it's not the same. You find that, because we operate it's very family oriented. So, I always say we're one family, everyone in Good Hair. We have these meetings. I don't know if you watch our snaps or whatever, but we're always having one party or the other. So it's very wholesome. You feel like you're a part of something. And I feel like a lot of other companies in Nigeria don't necessarily do that. So it's like when you go, you're now all by yourself, as opposed to with us where, everybody had that spirit of togetherness. Also, because we're suckers for excellence, we're constantly training, advancing. So we learn new skills, and we instill those skills on our staff. So every single person that comes to Good Hair, you leave better off. Do you understand? Good Hair is it's like if you leave and you say, oh, I worked at Good Hair, you got the job already, wherever the hell you're applying, because they trust, they know what you would have gotten by being there, But sometimes when they go to these other places, maybe these bosses don't necessarily invest in their staff, their well-being, their training, their advancement. And yeah, they realize that, and they always come back.
Okay, someone is saying, what's the most tragic thing you've experienced with regards to business?
Tragic. That's such a strong word. I don't know if we've experienced anything that's been so tragic, but honestly, it's a lot. Just all the challenges that I mentioned earlier on. I think it would be that. Maybe theft. Just the theft. Especially with brass and copper, it's madness. Every week you're catching somebody else that's trying to steal or making away with, trying to make away with millions or whatever. So it's a lot. It can get a bit tiring after a while. So now I'm like a ninja warrior, and I'm literally coming in my trainers ready to catch a new thief, and I will definitely catch somebody that day. I cannot tell you how many times I've had to go to police station because I'm forever taking one person to the police station, arresting. I've gone all the way to Panti and Yaba just to teach them a lesson. I mean, it's exhausting, So for me, the theft in Nigeria is just it's unprecedented.
Someone is asking if you are dating. I don't know how that concerns this conversation, Sha, but if you want to answer,
do you want to date me? Do you want to date me? Shoot your shot. Send your CV.
Okay. So someone is saying, when did you start the business and how long before the come up? So that means this person wasn't here.
No, they weren't. They weren't. But 2000.
So you need to go back and watch.
So we started in 2008.
Okay, say
registered, got registered in 2009. Kika, right? 2009. And come up, honestly, for us, it was very organic. And from the moment we started, it was just up, 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 up. You know, and as God will have it, it still is going up. Honestly, I don't even know how we've done this for so long, and things are still so positive. I really don't get it. You know, it must be the level of like hard work and you know, determination that we put in, because it's been a long time. I know a lot of people that started selling hair back then and they stopped maybe like after a year or two, you know, but with us it's been pretty consistent. And you know, I'm just grateful. Thanks to you guys as well, because you know, without you guys we wouldn't be here today, so we're truly grateful.
Okay, so Sugarcane, she's saying, Kika asked the question before the live went off, and she was saying that what advice would you give to entrepreneurs, to young entrepreneurs, especially during this pandemic?
Okay, so to not even just young ones, everyone that's an entrepreneur, I know that like obviously there's different things have been going around. Some people are saying, you know, if you don't use this time wisely, then you know, time was never your issue, you're the problem. And some people are saying, no, don't put pressure on anyone, it's a time to relax, blah blah blah. I think that for any entrepreneur that uses this entire period to rest, I'm sorry, I don't see what the hell you're doing in the business world, you know. Like, this time is never going to come again, not in our lifetime and not in the next, you know. To have such, like, the world is on pause. I don't care if don't rest later. When the world starts, go and rest then. Do you understand? The world has paused for you to make things happen and you want to be sleeping. Do you know what? It's so funny. Like when this started, for the first week, I was like, oh my God, I'm going crazy. What am I going to do? Now, I don't even have enough time in the day. Like, look at my desk. You see like notes, all sorts. I'm doing so much. Like I'm constantly reading, researching, strategizing, putting new processes in place, trying to figure out like, you know, how we can take the business to the next level. I've come up with so many different ways that, you know, we can advertise, new products that we can come up with. And Kika's doing the exact same thing in London, you know, and then we just discuss it at the end of the day, or, you know, whenever we think of something new. But my point is, my brain is active, you know, it's active. So once this is done, you know, we have so much that we're in store for everyone. Do you understand? We have so much to give. And then in the meantime, honestly, like, just think of ways that you can advertise, get creative, you know, your brain should be working. Don't spend all your time watching Money Heist and whatnot. I watch Money Heist, but
I just finished Money Heist.
That's fine. I finished it as well. I finished it and it was mad.
But I'm working.
But guess what? It's taken me like 4 weeks to finish it, because I literally watch maybe 1 or 2 episodes and then I do some work. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I put myself, now I'm like a student. I put myself on a strict routine, you know, wake up, work out, do this, do that. But I dedicate a couple of hours every single day to my business, you know, to strategize, to advertise, branding, everything. My brain is working. No one should sleep right now.
Someone is saying that they're giving you your house keys. I mean, their house keys that you can move in. So anyway.
Okay. Please add your car keys too.
Do you mentor?
I do mentor people.
Do you mentor?
I do, but of course, like it's a bit difficult, you know. I don't have all the time in the world to sort of dedicate to mentoring, but I do take on like, you know, 1 or 2 people here and there. I am trying to come up with like a proper mentorship scheme where I can, you know, have people on like a schedule, you know, maybe charge them. That way I will have to be dedicated as well, you know, and I think they will appreciate it more if they paid for that service. Yes, these are part of the things I'm actually like strategizing on and trying to work on. So I think after this COVID, I should have something a bit more concrete in terms of mentorships, because as it stands, I get too many, it's just I won't be able to keep up.
Okay. So someone is asking, what do you advise on brand visibility?
Okay, so with brand visibility, first of all, I feel like consistency is key, you know, and most people just you just vomit your logo. You just start posting anything anyhow. You cannot do that. Do you understand? Like, social media is such a junkyard. People are so confused, you know. So it's like, don't just throw yourself in the garbage. You need to definitely stand out, you know. Think about what it is you're trying to do, your target market, your audience, what would appeal to them, you know. If it's a luxury brand or like a luxury service, why do you want to have 5 different colors in your logo? Do you understand? Why do you want to have a name that is 5 lines long? Like, just, you know, keep it simple, keep it clean, keep it classy, make sure it's consistent, you know. Let your name and your logo and your image, the thing that people see and think about you, let it be consistent along along every single platform, whether it's Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, everything. It's like, when people see this, they know that it's you, you know. So keep it very consistent, be creative. You know, you want to come up with different techniques to draw the attention of people, you know. I'd say be consistent in what you're giving off. So I find that some people have businesses and, you know, one season they're so gingered, they're posting, and then they go quiet for 2 months. Darling, no one's going to remember you. There's so much out there that we're looking at, we're getting confused with. You know, when you do finally decide to wake up from your slumber and come back, 20 people have taken your place, you know. So you want to be consistent. Like, sometimes, even if the content is not that great, it's okay, put it out. It's not that serious. Do you understand? Even me sometimes, because I'm very critical, you know. And even today, the video that I posted, I had 2 very similar, but I think I'd swapped Wednesday for Tuesday and Tuesday for Wednesday. And I was like, which one should I post? Does this look better? Which one makes, you know? And I'm like, Chioma, it's just the video, post the damn thing. And I just press send. Do you understand? Sometimes it's just not that serious. Like, you can't be so critical. Continue to put out your content, put out as much as you can. You never know who you're going to appeal to, you know.
Okay. And for the people who are even struggling, like, with their brand identity and stuff, we've helped so many entrepreneurs come up with, like, good brand identities. So you can also slide into our DM once we're done with this call. Someone is asking, what books have helped you as an entrepreneur?
So there's this book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's really good. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F is really good. So actually, there's a book that I'm reading now that I really love. It's called The Magic, and I think it's really about positive thinking and basically gratitude, and just how you can infuse that into your daily life, and it just makes you more thankful. It basically, like, you know, the energy that you give off is what you get back, you know, if that makes sense. So if you think positively with a clean heart, gratefully, you tend to attract those things. And trust me, like, it has such a positive effect on the way that my day goes, and in effect, you know, the turnout of my business for the day. Because if you're giving out positive vibes, you're going to get that back in return, and it just translates into every single thing. If you envision that you're going to make money, you're going to sell, if you're more positive about your outlook in life, then that's most likely what you're going to attract. So I definitely recommend The Magic and The Secret as well.
Okay, someone is saying, how do you advertise? I don't really see your advert anywhere. So how come you have such huge clientele?
So luckily for us, like I said, you know, we've been, we're our own biggest adverts, and, you know, people look at us and they want, you know, what we have. So even just by waking up in the morning and, as if I would say, slaying, I'm going to get clients because they see the hair, they like it, you know. And one thing that I've realized as well, for people that sell hair or want to sell hair or makeup or whatever, it's the whole package. You know, if I have this hair on and maybe I'm not really wearing makeup or my outfit isn't nice, the hair's not going to look as good. You know that, right? Or if I have my makeup on and my hair's not nice, the makeup is not going to look as good. So everything has to tie in together. Every single thing, you know, your hair, your makeup, your outfit. That's if you're in the beauty industry. Because when people see that, then they feel like, okay, if I buy this hair, I'm going to morph into her. I'm going to look exactly as she looks at this moment. And even if that's not the case, that's enough. That's all I need to sell that hair. Do you understand? So for us, luckily, we've been our biggest adverts. And then, like I said, consistency in posting. We post everything. Like, we're constantly posting. It's not easy to create content, by the way. It looks easy, but it's not. But we're conscious of the fact that we need to post. So every single day, we're constantly posting one thing or the other. Some days we get like loads of content at once. We keep it in a folder and then just release it daily. So that way, you never forget Good Hair, because Good Hair's always posting something.
Okay, someone is asking, how do you recruit your staff members? Where do you find them? And is there some sort of online application?
Oh, darling, I wish it was so straightforward. It really isn't. So sometimes we get walk-ins, with stylists. It's slightly easier. Like it's not. They don't really need to come with a CV and all of that because it's a practical skill. With the waiters, waitresses, they come in, we try them out. If we like them, then obviously we do like the due diligence and whatnot. But in terms of like our management staff and the jobs that are a little bit more so now we use a HR company because it's just I wouldn't really know where to like find stuff, and times that we've advertised it on our social media, you get like an influx of CVs and it's just really hard to go. It's I mean, I do it sometimes. Kika does it as well from London, but it's a lot. I won't lie, it's a lot. So sometimes you just go through it's time consuming. So you just go through like a HR company. They would now shortlist the candidates and then they'll send me like 3 or 4 or 5 CVs. Then I would go through them and then call them in, interview them. And yeah, so I do all the interviews myself actually. I'm very anal. I'm so particular about the people that I work with. So I have to interview you.
So someone is asking, what's your take on influencer marketing?
So it's very interesting because, okay, it just depends. Let me put it that way. If you don't need to do it, you don't have to do it, And I know that for some people, they just feel like, why should I be giving anybody free hair or free clothes or free whatever, But if you cannot advertise your own product by yourself and, people are not going crazy about your own hair or your makeup or whatever it is that you're selling, then you're going to need to use influencers. I'm sorry, because we're in the social media day and age and people literally want to morph into other people. So if my favorite influencer is wearing a particular wig, chances are I'm going to want to know where she got it from and I'm going to want to buy it. Because I want to be like this person. I look up to this person. I adore them. So everything they have, I want to get. It's like when Shayla posts a mascara, we're all going to go and try out the mascara because if Shayla can use it, it must be good. Do you understand? We trust influencers so much that, their word is like, it's literally like, it's gold. So if you have a business and, it's not really moving that quick, it might appear like a sacrifice, giving out free clothes or free shoes or free whatever. But trust me, it will translate. It's worth it. And guys, don't sleep on people that have not that many followers. Sometimes you go and give something that has 2 million followers. Who are their followers? Their followers, can they afford your products? Is that your target market? Do you understand? Like, for instance, like, I think for us, like, I think it was with maybe actresses, we've realized that the market, the audience that they have is not necessarily our audience. Do you understand? So if I go and give free hair to an actress, for instance, yeah, they might get 1 or 2 clients, but then that's not my target market. So I'm not going to make money from it. So even if she has 20 million followers, it's not going to translate into cash. But then there could be another girl, maybe another like, trendy young girl with like maybe 6,000 followers, or 10,000 followers, for instance. And she just has a cult of people that love her and want to be her. Trust me, that person's probably going to make me so much more money than Madame with 20 million followers. So it's not about the amount of followers, but you need to look at, the people that follow those influencers, the level of influence that they have, and, the kind of value you think they can add to your business.
And that's very true because there was a time I gave someone some things. I think I gave person a book when I wrote my book to advertise on their page, and they had like over 1 million followers. And the person warned me. The person is my friend. She warned me. She said, "For my followers, they know they read." That's how she said it. I said, "How can you have 1 million followers and then they will not buy or they will not even follow or they will not even be attracted to what you're saying that they should read, especially because my book is about money." She posted it, my dear, 6 followers. I said, "Really?" And then someone else called me. I said, Ife, please, I want to find out what happened when this babe posted for you. How was it? Because when she posted for me, I only had like 100 followers. I said, you are lucky. You are very lucky So sometimes you need to be very strategic about choosing your influencers, because when she posts about some random things, people are doting on it and stuff like that. But when it comes to like intellectual stuff, like books and stuff like that, they're not really interested.
Yeah.
So you need to be very targeted
Yeah.
when you're choosing who your influencers are.
Yeah.
Someone is saying, who does your merchandising, you or Kika?
Both. We both do everything. Kika and I, we split everything down the middle.
Okay. How do you divide your company shares with your business partners?
What, for good hair or brass and copper? It's everything. It's just everything's just equal. Everything's just equal.
And that's good, because I don't know how you've been able to manage 50-50 on all your businesses. Like, that means you'll be a good wife.
No, trust me. Me and Kika's relationship is like I'm ready for marriage. Do you understand? Because for me, and the way I look at marriage is like, yes, there's the love and everything, but for me, I'm ready for a partnership. Do you understand? Like, it has to be a partnership, because that's what it is at the end of the day. And it's just like, if you have your eye on the goal, and for me, once I get married, like, divorce is not an option. Like, my parents have been together, I don't know, like almost 40 years. It's just, that's what I know, that's what I understand, and that's what I would like for myself, God willing. So I want to get it right and do it properly. But for me, like, that partnership thing is key. And I've had so much experience and practice with just being able to maintain a partnership. I think I'll make a very good wife. And this is not me advertising, guys, but yeah, I'm just saying.
Then please talk to growing business owners on panic selling, considering how businesses are going to be after the pandemic.
What is panic? I've never heard of panic selling. Well, like selling oil. Is there what's panic selling?
Maybe people just want to rush and maybe do everything 80% off.
Oh no! Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I mean, if you want to sell all your stuff and people are buying, by all means sell. Like, why would you not sell? But don't go and do 80. Like, why would you do that to yourself? Don't even think about it. I'll give you guys a tip at this point, because people aren't really buying that much. You can give it. Go on sale, do a discount, maybe 10. Like, we're doing 10% off throughout. And trust me, we've been selling. We're actually really selling, because everyone loves a bargain. Everyone wants a discount. Do you understand? You love a good bargain. If someone's giving you 10% or 20% off, you're more likely going to buy it as opposed to if it was full price. So yeah, give yourself a good sale discount. Give your audience a good sale discount, but don't do like 80% off, because that's you not even valuing your company. So if I see something for 80% off, I'll be like, what's wrong with it? Why are they trying to get rid of it? Obviously, it's not that good. So it's not even a good look to be doing that kind of sale.
Okay. So someone is saying, what are the various courses and certifications you have for your business?
Courses and certifications for the business. So with our businesses, actually, we don't actually have any particular like certifications, because we're not hairdressers. We didn't need to go and get like certified in that regard. So we don't. Our entrepreneurship skills are natural. I'm a lawyer. Kika studied business. I have an LLB, an LLM, LB. I've been to law school. I've practiced. So for me, all my certifications are in the professional world. I don't have anything from the entrepreneurship side. I think being an Igbo girl, and maybe the family that I come from, are very strong, enterprising women, and my dad is super enterprising. I feel like that's why I have it in me. I think it's just natural, but I didn't go to school for it or anything like that. No.
Okay. Someone is saying, how do you settle misunderstanding or disagreements with Kika? Do you ever have any? I think you've spoken about that already.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Someone is saying, an advice is needed concerning a staff who quit work without notification the first time and was absorbed back after many pleasing to be taken back. She left again abruptly a few weeks ago. So what would you say about that?
I think just let her go. Do you understand? This is someone who clearly isn't settled. She's very, sometimes people are very flighty, and it's just the way that they are. And you don't want to be at anybody's mercy begging them to come back. It's fine. Let her go. Next time when you get someone that's so good where you need to beg them to come back, make sure you have somebody undershadow them, and so that way when the person leaves, you could fall back on that other person as opposed to you being completely stranded.
Someone is asking why I'm so behind on the questions. I have to ask all the questions and look through everything. So don't be angry. Anyway, okay. So someone else is asking, what books would you?
I already answered that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you already answered that. Oh my God. So what drives you? What drives you?
I think that I have a natural flair for business. I come from a very strong family, strong people. I'm very family oriented. We have family reunions every year. I speak to my family members every day. I'm very close to my family, and everyone's just so driven, and my family's so proper as well. So I feel like I'm forever being held accountable. Like, my parents follow me on social media, so I cannot just wake up and post anything. Like, some of you have the luxury of posting. I can't really do that because my mom or dad's gonna call me the next second to be like, what is that? So for me, like, just having a strong family backing gives me it just gives me the confidence that I need to just push and do whatever I want to do. Anything that I think of, I believe that, like, everything is within reach. I never really see anything as so difficult, or so anything that I want to do in this life. Honestly, I will set out and I will do it. If I fail at it, I would just consider that as experience and a learning curve. But there's nothing that I would not actually physically set out to achieve if it crossed my mind. And then obviously the grace of God. We're not here by our own might or whatever. It's by God's grace, and thankfully I'm in good shape, good health to be able to go for my dreams. So thank God for that.
Okay, I think we have 1 more minute, so let me just quickly round up. Would you be able to come back?
Guys.
Yeah, tired of me.
Kind of. 2 hours.
Okay. Also, okay, so if the phone cuts off, then that's it. I think some people may want to hear from Kika. If she's still here, if she wants to come back, she can just say yes or no. If not, then we'll just end it. And thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining on this call. Just in case
Thanks, guys.
Kika doesn't say yes at the bottom, join AGS Tribe. We have an amazing community of entrepreneurs. Thank you so much, Chioma, for entrepreneurs and young professionals as well. We're doing amazing. We're currently over 1,100. We have so many amazing people in the community from diverse backgrounds. We have people in governments, we have people in entertainment. In fact, somebody even launched an EP today. We have so many people doing amazing work, and we're all trying to support each other, introduce women to different opportunities such as grants, funding, scholarships, fully funded scholarships, jobs, and stuff like that. So if you guys, Kika hasn't said anything, so I'm guessing that she's gone. So thank you all for joining us. Chioma, I learned so much today. It was totally amazing. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
2 hours.
Thank you.
And we had so much fun.
It was fun.
There's still so many other questions. I was still writing, but obviously we don't want to.
Yeah, we can always have another one. We can plan another one. Thank you, guys. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for having me. Hello. Hi. You're so pretty. Hello.
Why are you burning your face now?
She's so cute. How old are you?
How old are you?
5.
Oh wow, big girl.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Right.
Okay,
let her stay with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We had fun. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, people are still here. Okay. Okay, I think, Chioma is gone. Thank you all so much for joining us. It was amazing. You guys were very, very interactive. We have a bundle currently, which is a company profile pitch deck template, which is essential for every entrepreneur. If you want it, it's in our bio. It's 15,000 and it's amazing. You guys need it for your businesses, and they're templates that every entrepreneur needs. And right now it's going for a giveaway price. And today is the last day that you can actually get it for 15,000. Tomorrow it goes up to 20, and in 2 days time, it goes back to 50,000. So Join us. Join AGS Tribe. We're here for you. Thank you, Chioma, for joining us once again. We had such an amazing time. Bye, guys. Mercy. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.